Here I am after so many years, hounded by hatred and trapped by fear. I'm in a box. I've got no place to go. If I follow my mind, I know I'll slaughter my own. Help me, I'm the prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? I need somebody, yeah, to listen to me. I beg you, brothers and sisters, I'm counting on you, yeah. Black babies in the womb, shackled and bound, chained by the caveman who keeps beauty down, smacked on the ass when they're squalling and wet. And to a spineless man who never forgets, never forgets that he's a prisoner. Can't you hear my plea? 'Cause I need somebody, Lord knows, to listen to me. I'm a stranger to my son who wonders why his daddy runs, yeah. Can't nobody see just who in hell I am. Greetings once again. Welcome to the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition podcast, aka the N.E.P.P.C podcast. My name is Frank Brown. I'm with my brother and former political prisoner, brother Abdul Haqq Islam. And we're here once again to talk about what's very important and what's not talked about not enough, that is, which is political prisoners. And today's episode, we are summing up what we talked about for the last couple of weeks, last couple of Wednesdays, that is, to be specific, is about the importance of teaching our children about political prisoners during Black History Month. We understand that Black History Month is the shortest month out of the year, but we need to use whatever we can get our hands on to empower our people. And we have to do that by controlling what they're learning and allowing that to make our people more stronger, in particular our children, because they're very impressionable. You can influence a child very easily. And so when their mind is young like that, we have to let them know what's most important. We have to let them know that they are people of African descent. And ever since the first slave, so-called slave, was brought here, um, African people have been dealing with a number of problems, a number of issues. And every time that African chose to stand up, that African was beat down into submission. So this episode, we're talking about pretty much what we talked about the other weeks, but we want to end off very strong. So we give this month as much support as it as needed, and we prepare our children for be the warriors they are. If you realize what they face with on a regular basis, then you see the importance of political prisoners. I'm a parent of one, Abdul Haq. How many children you have?
Two.
Right. In being a part of my son's upbringing, because I can't deny other people were involved in his upbringing. Of being a part of that upbringing, I noticed two things that I really taught him, or rather had him involved in, that was very important. Probably even three things. One was his political involvement with the December 12th movement. Another was his learning how Taekwondo, and another was him learning how to swim. All these things were beneficial to his development because it taught him how to see the world. It taught him confidence, because when you involved in Taekwondo, you have to perform certain breaks, certain forms, and you have to do that amongst people. So you're building up confidence. And swimming, right? You have to be very courageous actually to never know how to swim, to jump in that water and trust the person who's teaching you that you have to do the right thing so you won't drown and die. So I look at these and I say that what's these ideas are involved with principles, right? And nobody embodies these principles like the political prisoner. You have people like Kamal Siddiqui, Sundiata Acoli, and so many more that embody confidence, a certain world outlook, which they understand themselves as being part of a nation, meaning that they have the right to self-determination, and being courageous, right? To be of African descent and to see the world as they see it, or as you should see it, whereas you're part of a group that's been oppressed, and their oppression leads to others being able to maintain a certain lifestyle. So the political prisoners have this consciousness and decided to do something about it. But Abdul Haq, I don't want to take up too much. I'm getting amped up. I'm starting to flow, and let you get some PC of today's topic, and the people need to hear.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
We want to talk about history as a weapon, and in that history, the appreciation and value of our freedom fighters. You understand? When we study our history, we get a lot of evidence that this system, this global system, uh, nationally and locally here in the U.S. is the most subhuman, ruled by the most beastly people in the history of the world. So in that context, we love and appreciate our freedom fighters and our people now who are political prisoners. Some also have been assassinated. You understand? Who uh, understood the reality of what we live in. You understand? And did you understand what was necessary? Assume the responsibility of grown men and grown women. You understand? And not little chumps. We say that history is a weapon that we use. History, we come up with true facts of history and systemic analysis of that history. That history becomes, as Malcolm said, a weapon that you can take and pistol whip your enemy all up and down the street. And on the global sense, you can pistol whip your enemy all over the world with true facts, true evidence, and a system analysis, of what we went through. So I organized my presentation based on 500 years of history and even bring it up to more modern times. 500 years of history shows that this criminal committed the worst crimes against humanity ever to visit the earth, went to every continent, you understand, and wiped out entire populations, in the US, you understand, in South America, you understand, murdered 56 million people. Western United States, 34 million people. Eastern United States, 24 million people. Went to Asia, murdered hundreds of millions of people. Africa, you understand, transported 150 million people to the U.S., you understand, for the slave system. 72% of them died during the trip. You understand? Australia, the Pacific Islands, everywhere they went, they raped, robbed, and pillaged. You understand? For the god of wealth and materialism. They say that they pretend that they all religious and pious and all that type of stuff. You understand? But the most religious was far right wingers. You understand? Support mass murder and genocide and say that God is their crime partner in this. Say that God made them superior, racially superior. So it's okay to go around and murder and oppress people. You understand? So that's the 500-year history. You understand? They murdered 500 million people, mostly dark-skinned people, all over the world. So we come up in modern times. We look at Africa. You understand? Where the CIA was responsible for assassinating Patrice Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba's signed his death warrant when he said that the wealth under the soil of the Congo would benefit the children of the Congo. You understand? So that was, very, very hateful in the eyes of U.S. imperialism and the colonizer. You understand? Kwame Nkrumah, the State Department admits that they was responsible for the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah. You understand? Organized and agitated some disgruntled army officers. Overthrew Nkrumah. You understand? On the global market, they dropped the price of sugar. You understand? Which caused an economic crisis. You understand? And also the murder of Michelle. Understand? They was down and dirty. The CIA down and dirty with that. So we come up into modern times, and there's a bombshell. There's an atomic bomb, you understand, that can ignite the consciousness of black people all over the world, black people in America, and black people all over the world. And that atomic bomb is that ex-undercover police officer admits his role in the FBI and NYPD conspiracy against Malcolm X. You understand? That police officer's name was Ray Wood. His cousin, Reggie Wood read a letter that Ray Wood had written, you understand, where he admitted his role in the assassination of Malcolm X. So this is something that y'all got to spread everywhere. You understand? Y'all got to spread this news everywhere. My brother Frank right here, right now, is going to play this clip, you understand, from a February 2021 Democracy Now! Program, you understand, which exposed the role of the NYPD in murdering Malcolm X. Go ahead with the clip, my brother.
All right, brother. Just give me 1 minute.
Yeah, here it is. It's coming up right now, y'all.
In Harlem, February 21st, 1965. This comes after the release of a deathbed confession of a former undercover New York police officer who admitted to being part of a broad New York police and FBI conspiracy targeting Malcolm. In the confession, the former officer, Raymond Wood, who died last year, admitted he entrapped two members of Malcolm's security team in another crime, a plot to blow up the Statue of Liberty, just days before the assassination. On Saturday, Ray Wood's cousin Reggie Wood read the letter at a news conference at the Shabazz Center in Harlem.
It was my assignment to draw the two men into a felonious federal crime so that they could be arrested by the FBI and kept away from managing Malcolm X's out-of-bond ballroom door security on February 21st, 1965.
In his letter, Raymond Wood also revealed he was inside the Audubon Ballroom at the time of Malcolm's assassination. At least one other undercover New York police officer, Gene Roberts, was also inside after infiltrating the security team of the Organization of Afro-American Unity.
All right, so there it is, y'all. You know, to watch the whole program, the whole segment, you know, you can go online and type in ex undercover officer admits a role in FBI NYPD conspiracy against Malcolm X. And so y'all can put on cap the pertinent points that was raised that this officer, Ray Wood, was given the assignment of taking some of Malcolm's top security organizers off point, you understand, and taking them into a plot to blow up the Statue of Liberty so that they would not be there on the date of the assassination. You understand? This is, you know, this is Exhibit A. The Exhibit A stands for atomic bomb. Y'all need to spread this everywhere. You understand? Spread this, share this clip all over the place. You understand what I'm saying? This is history. You know, so what in history, we look for facts. We look for factual evidence in history. This is factual evidence that America murdered Malcolm X. Two of Malcolm's close associates, Robert Hagan and Earl Grant, you understand, who spent a lot of time with Brother Malcolm and protected Malcolm in private conversations with him, you understand, they became aware that just as when King had started giving a analysis of worldwide imperialism, you understand, which caused them to assassinate him, Malcolm began to talk about the conspiracies of U.S. agencies, used to talk about the role of imperialism, used to give an analysis of the imperialist system, and was telling African leaders You understand? That y'all can't be falling for this con game, this fake love affair. You understand? To paraphrase, a system that causes starvation and then offers you a hot dog, and you're supposed to think that they love you. You understand?
Right.
When indeed they rip, rob, and exploit hundreds of trillions of dollars from the African continent every year. So this caused an intense hatred of Malcolm. So this is why they wanted to assassinate him in conversations with his companions, Ray Hagen and Earl Grant. His systemic analysis, you understand, was causing him to want to kill him, and he knew that he didn't have too long to live. So our study of history also shows that this murder, these murders, these mass murders they create, these genocides and infanticides, you understand, to steal land and resources, and then they have an economic system where they exploit workers and take what they do not pay the workers, unpaid labor, and accumulate great wealth called surplus value. You understand? So this is the way the system operates. So in history, we go and get the evidence, and we take the evidence, you understand, and give an analysis of that evidence, so we become crystal clear on the difference between truth and falsehood, between reality and myth. You understand? And Malcolm, you understand, was very, very powerful in bringing about that clarity, talking about black racial pride, you understand, loving yourself, teaching you who taught you to hate yourself, who teaches you to go out and want to murder somebody who looks like you because you want to destroy those lips, that hair, that nose, you understand? You want to send that to the cemetery, because this oppressor has taught you to hate yourself. You understand? Malcolm was raising that consciousness, and Malcolm understood close to the end of his life that he didn't have long to live. And like I said, his close associates, you understand, who have made statements very, very recently, they were crystal clear on that also, you understand. And
Brother, I wanted to not to interrupt you, but I just wanted to make a point that I think that people need to understand, because when we talk about this whole conspiracy to kill Malcolm, we have to look at the political prisoner and how the political prisoner is a target and continues to be a target, because this plot to assassinate Malcolm X, it's all revealed and it's all a part of the same method of doing things, right? And historically, that's how they've been doing things. And now when we look at the COINTELPRO, we are witnessing the same thing happen to our political prisoners. And our political prisoners, they are experiencing medical neglect. Kamal Siddiqui is going through medical neglect. And Mumia is dealing with the same issues, right? And but we're putting pressure on them, because as Sundiata Cody has said, and we continue to say, we'll continue to say, it's not up to the state to free our political prisoners. It's up to the people to do that. And I think that needs to be understood, because we all need to do something. We all need to take action when it comes to our political prisoners, because this is something that's going to continue to happen unless we rise up and bring it to an end. And that's why we have to be inspired by political prisoners. That's why we have to educate ourselves more on political prisoners. And I was honored, and I got the opportunity to actually participate in a Free Kamal Siddiqui sponsored celebration of his life. His
Get that contact information.
Yes, his 69th birthday. I'll do that shortly. Right. But during the celebration, we got to actually hear from the brother, and I thought that it was very inspiring, because despite his current situation, he is still not down and out. His voice is sounding strong, and I've been giving his information out, which I have on display right here in my hand. I've been giving that out in the area of South Jamaica, Queens, community centers, organized organizations that's based in the community, and letting them know his story, because we as a people, we have to be bothered by that. And one of the things that I noticed, that this sister, she had read the back of this and said, life plus 10 years, she said, it only happens to us. And she was bothered by that. And why I hold this up, let me read it. So those who don't know Kamal Siddiqui's story need to get familiar with some of it. So it says, this card right here, it says Kamal Siddiqui, Freddie Hilton, is a Muslim, a doting father of two, loving daughters, and a grandfather of five. Siddiqui joined the Black Panther Party as a youth to serve the people. In 2002, the FBI offered Kamal a deal to help them capture Assata Shakur, living in exile in Cuba. He was told if he didn't help, he'd spend the rest of his life in prison. He refused to be a snitch and entrap her, and so was recharged with a 30-year-old Georgia cold case previously dismissed for lack of evidence. He was convicted, quote unquote, and sentenced to life plus 10 years. At 69, Siddiqui has served decades as a political prisoner. He suffers prison medical neglect, hepatitis C, sarcoidosis of the liver, malnutrition, and has been forced to self-treat the leaking open ulcer wounds that have been crippling his legs for the past several years. So as a taxpayer, look at what's going on. If your tax dollar is being sent to have these prisons, then why is it that they understaffed? Why is it that they're getting your tax dollar and not giving these prisoners the proper medical attention that is needed? This is a quote from Kamal Siddiqui. He said, I think I was born to be a revolutionary. Much of my influence to fight against oppression and those who advocate for it came from my mother, Hattie Rogers Hilton. So just like me and just like Abdul Haqq, we was inspired by somebody to do something. And that somebody who inspired the brother was his mother. So, we salute her. And, her work is being expressed in her son. And her son's work is being expressed in people like us who are taking up the work to free our political prisoners. So just to finish reading this letter, this palm card, it says, here's what you can do to help in this injustice. You can visit Linktree, free Kamal Siddiqui for details. Write to Baba Kamal. Donate to join the Kamal Siddiqui Freedom Campaign. Post about Kamal Siddiqui on your social media platform. Write to Georgia officials to demand Baba Kamal Siddiqui receive appropriate medical treatment and that he be released. So these things we can do, we can be involved. Either we see ourselves as liberators and fighters of freedom, or we see ourselves as accepting the current conditions, accepting our oppression, and passing it down to another generation. Now we have one or two choices to make, and our children are watching us, and we have to make the right choice. So that's why here is where we provide you with information and contact, and we let you know that we're about the work. You see the consistency. We say, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is N.E.P.P.C. The YouTube channel is N.E.P.P.C. We ask that 10 people get 10 people to share and get them to commit to subscribing to the YouTube channel, because we do this, then we can definitely create further momentum into this fight to free our political prisoners and let them die in prison. Abdul Haqq?
Yeah, my brother, putting political prisoners in the context of the history, you understand, our history is full of the most atrocious crimes against humanity ever visited upon a people. And we also have a very, very proud, dignified, glorious history of resistance to all that. You understand? And our political prisoners are a part of that proud tradition. As Sister Assata Shakur said, carry on the tradition, carry it on. You understand? So history in the hands of the enemy can be a weapon to produce black Sambos, self-hating Negroes.
Yeah, that's what Malcolm taught us. Speak,
N-words. You understand? The definition of N-word is totally worthless. You understand? No trust. You understand? No truth, no character, no inner substance. You understand? The history of the enemy is something that can produce that. A crawling worm. You understand? That licks the boots of the enemy. History in the hands of the enemy produces something like that. You understand what I'm saying? Or it become a sleep aid or something to have our children bored to death, sleeping in the classroom, bored to death at the history being presented by the enemy. You know, understand? As opposed to staying up at night, drinking coffee, doing research, engaging in scholarship. You understand? That's what our true history does. You understand? Puts a fire in us to learn the truth. You understand? To be crystal clear on friends and enemies. To be crystal clear on reality and myth. You understand? And in that, we understand the glorious, the dignified role, the courageous role. You understand? The exalted humanity that our political prisoners, you understand, exhibited and carried out for us. You understand? Out of love for us. You understand? And it is a shame that we are not doing enough to free him. As Brother Sekou said, we're not doing enough. You know, that's what he said in his presentation at Kamal's birthday party, that we're not doing enough. We need to do more. He kept emphasizing that over and over and over again. And there are committees, you understand, uh, organized for Kanab, Direct Action Committee, Creative Outreach Committee, the committee that deals with spirituality. And Brother Frank gave the address where you can contact the organizers who are trying to free Kamal Siddiqui. You understand? And I say to Brother Kamal Siddiqui, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh. You understand? This is a brother, a Muslim who obeys Allah's orders, Allah's command to stand up against injustice. You understand? You know, it's cool to be, you know, have purity, purity of the heart, purity of the soul, but also purity of the heart and soul also means to stand up against evil. And this is what Brother Kamal did, you know, and Brother Jihad said, Brother Kamal is him Khalifa Shahada, you know. So this brother has got to be free. Like Brother Sekou said, y'all ain't doing enough. We're not doing enough. That's why our political prisoners are still languishing in jail, you understand, and dying in jail because the masters of our people are not doing enough. We're not assuming our responsibility, you understand, to fight for those who stood up and sacrificed everything for us. We're not doing a smallest fraction of what needs to be done. You understand? Not assuming the responsibility that we need to be doing, you understand, to free all our political prisoners, you know, and we can do it. You know, we have the power. There's power in our people, you know, and we need to feel that black power, brothers and sisters.
Black power, you know, straight and to the point. Very important words being spoke by our brother Abdul Haqq Islam, and we appreciate that. You know, it's work to be done. We got to be continuous with our work. We got to teach our children to get involved, and we got to set the standard on how we need to deal with our political prisoners, right? Because we know that if we don't do anything about this, that our political prisoner will die in prison. They would have us, as you was talking about Malcolm, and you was talking about Malcolm taught us how our enemy would have us will control who we love and who we hate. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned Coltrane Shimaranga was the same way. He's saying, you know, he was teaching us that, you know, we have to watch out who our friends and who are our enemies, and our enemies actually
be clear.
Be very clear. And our enemy tries to control that. And what I'm saying when I'm saying that is that when we look at our political prisoners in prison, we know that they're supposed to be in these so-called correctional facilities, right? But yet, how long does it take for somebody to be so-called corrected, right? And then we say that they say that they're not political prisoners. In fact, they're terrorists, right? That's what our enemy says, right?
They're the terrorists.
Right, they're the terrorists. But our actions say whether we agree with that or not, right?
Because if you define reality for us,
exactly,
we define our reality.
If you're not writing a political prisoner, if you're not donating no money or no time to not letting a political prisoner die in prison, you are saying that that's not a freedom fighter, that that's not a political prisoner, that that is what the enemy says or our oppressor says is a terrorist and needs to be there until they die. That's what your actions are saying. And you know, if you don't want to be on that side, but yet you want to be on the side of the people who are fighting for liberation, then your actions need to show that. You need to express that in what you're doing on a regular basis. That's why we say if you do nothing but share this with 10 people, that's a start. So we say that we have to continue to do this work. That's why we're here on Wednesdays. We commit ourselves to that. And whether it's one person or 100 people that view it for maybe a second or 3 seconds, they still are walking away with an image of 2 people spending a portion of their day on a Wednesday committed to raising the consciousness of political prisoners. They are looking at these posters that we have here, these images that are reflective of political prisoners. We make sure we put them up there. We make sure that we are in uniform because we understand the importance of commitment. We understand the importance of making a presentation, of making a point on a daily, on a weekly basis to people who are overwhelmed with various distractions. So at least when you go out in the street and you see people fighting injustices, they got inspired by people before them, right? We get inspired by our political prisoners, Kamal Siddiqui, Sundiata Acoli, Ed Poindexter, Joy Powell, and so many more. We get inspired by them to do this work. They are the fire underneath our behind, for lack of better lack of word. Yes, the wind beneath our wing, and they keep us flowing. They keep us going, and we have to bring them home. And it's just going to take more effort. And we
got to do more, brothers and sisters.
Yes, we have to do more.
Brother Haqq said you got to do more.
We have to remain committed, and we have to play our part. So I think that we cover everything, brother. Is there anything else we got to cover before we wind down?
We covered it all. We covered it all, brother. Our political prisoners exhibited the highest state of humanity. You understand? Very, very principled behavior. You understand? Standing up for us. You understand? So it's very, very principled for us to do all we can to stand up for them, to demand their freedom, And indeed, you understand, we holler and scream at these people. We in numbers, the strength of our numbers, demand that they be free. There can be a positive result. As Haqq said, that the masses of our people put his name on their lips, you understand? And he is an example of what can happen when people demand that a political prisoner be set free. He's free today, you understand? And we got to be believers. We got to be true believers, you understand? A movement develops strength and power when there are many true believers. That's what make a movement, So we need to come together, you understand, and do the beautiful thing, do the right thing, do the beautiful thing to fight for those who fought for us. Black power.
Black power. So here we have it being said, and as we always,
it is time that you guys organize a fund to set aside to help people who sacrifice for our freedom. Meaning, every time something happens, I hear this. Why don't the gang bangers jump up and do something for us? Why don't you kill them? You kill each other. And I say to myself, when is the last time you sent money to Assata Shakur? When is the last time you sent money to Matulu Shakur? When is the last time you sent money to Mumia Abu-Jamal or Larry Hoover or Jeff Ford or Leonard Peltier? When is the last time you have made it your business to send to a revolutionary or a hoodlum that has helped us? And until we start to do that, how can we ask these young men to be warriors? Because if they do it in the name of the hood, at least the hood gonna honor their name always. At least the hood gonna make sure at least their children got something or their mama's house is looked after. as a community, if we're going to ask people to bungee jump for us with no cord, be prepared to take care of them when they get a life sentence. Be prepared to look after their families. See, I don't mind the work getting done, but let's take care of the workers. Let's stop asking more out of people than we would do for ourselves. So what I'd like to see, my dream thing, is to see 1 million people from the culture dedicate $10 a month. That's $10 million a month, $120 million a year toward taking care of civil rights leaders who have worked on our behalf and are elderly now and don't have to take care of themselves, like Rosa Parks, whose rent was paid by the owner of Little Caesars Pizza. We should have had a fund to make sure that she never had to worry about that again in her life. We should have a fund that makes sure money makes it to Assata Shakur, and Matulu Shakur has legal representation and food, and Leonard Peltier, who has diabetes in jail, can get insulin taken care of. And until we start doing it, $10 a month is about what you pay on a couple fast food restaurant business. So if 1 million of us do that for the rest of our life, look at how well we'll be taking care of the people that we're asking to sacrifice on our behalf.
I agree. And recently,
I'm gonna tell you, we have to do this as well.
So as we close, we'll just say peace and love to everybody. Continue to pass this on to others, and we'll see you next week. What's the call?
Free